Can you believe it? Only 3 weeks away from Christmas, and our magical village is almost complete. In today's episode, we continue our enchanting journey, turning simple materials into a sparkling miniature world full of warmth, wonder, and holiday cheer. Thank you so much for being here again. Your support, your comments, and your enthusiasm truly make this project even more special. So grab a warm drink, get cozy, and let's jump into another festive chapter of this Christmas adventure. Today, I'm excited to show you how I created the waterfalls and the lake in the Luna Park area of my Christmas village. For this project, I wanted to design a series of gentle, sliding waterfalls, where the water doesn't drop from a high point, but instead flows smoothly from stone to stone before finally reaching a small lake right at the heart of the Luna Park. In the center of that lake, I built a tiny island connected by two charming bridges. And on that island stands a tall Christmas tree that lights up the entire scene. It's one of my favorite magical touches in this part of the diorama. For the waterfalls, I used foam board in two thicknesses, 0.5 millimeters and 1 centimeter. I cut uneven, irregular pieces to create natural curves. I started building from the bottom and worked my way up, each time setting the next layer about 2 centimeters further back. This creates depth in the waterfalls. The higher you go, the deeper it becomes. After completing the first phase, we now have the main shape and height of the waterfalls. As you can see, the water path is already defined. We know exactly how it will flow down into the lake. There are two separate water sources that eventually merge into one, ending their journey in the lake at the bottom. The next step is to create stones and rocks along the edges of the waterfalls and in the middle area between the two water sources. For this part, we'll be using a stone mold to shape and texture the pieces. If you don't have a stone mold, you can still create great-looking stones and rocks using aluminum foil, just like I showed you in a previous episode. Once we're happy with the layout and all the stones and rocks are installed successfully, it's time to close any gaps and create a smooth surface. We do this by applying a layer of plaster over the entire waterfall structure. This step will make painting easier and help us achieve a realistic stone texture. Next, we need to place the waterfalls in their planned position and mark where they will connect with the lake. To do this correctly, we first have to know the exact spots where the bridge columns will stand. So we start by marking the column locations, then install the waterfalls, and finally shape the lake by following the gap between the columns. Now it's time to create the lake. For this step, I'm using a hot foam cutter. I carve the thermocol until I reach the desired depth and length. At the same time, I shape the lake borders, adding underwater stones and rocks to prepare the entire edge of the lake. For now, we'll leave the lake and focus on finishing the waterfalls. We'll start painting just like in the previous episode. First a base gray, then random color highlights by mixing different shades, and finally a black wash for depth. The only difference this time is that I'm adding English ivy green around the edges and blending it with the other colors for a more natural look. Finally, as always, we'll finish with a white dry brush to highlight the details. Don't forget to clean off any excess paint from your brush before applying it to the surface. Now it's time to add the water effects to create the flowing waterfalls. To be honest, this is the first time I'm trying it this way, so I'm not entirely sure how it will turn out. Either way, it needs time to fully dry, so we'll let it sit for a while. After a few days, you can see the final result. It's definitely not what I was expecting, but I'll have to accept it and keep moving forward with the project. The rest of the scene looks good. The trees and bushes turned out really nice. Now it's time to go back and finish the lake. Once we're satisfied with the crafting and the shape of the lake shore, we need to secure the entire bottom to make sure the epoxy resin won't damage the thermocol or leak through. For this reason, I'm applying putty over the whole area. To make it look more realistic, I'm mixing in some very fine sand with the putty. Make sure the putty fully covers all weak spots so your lake stays protected. As an extra and final layer of protection, I'm applying scenic cement. This helps seal even the smallest holes and fully protects the thermocol before we pour the epoxy. Now it's time for painting. We'll start with the lake shore, working all the way down to the bottom using different shades of brown, adding a bit of white to create natural variations, and I will finish it with the English ivy green. After that, we'll paint the bottom of the lake using cerulean blue mixed with a touch of white. I first apply the blue, and while it's still wet, I add white in selected areas, mostly near the stones and along the shoreline, and blend it in to create a soft light blue effect. Next, we'll add some sea gravel and rocks randomly around the lake, only where needed. I chose black and brown gravel, and I'm also using small pieces of wood to create the two larger stones near the bridge footing. I attach the wood and the bigger gravel pieces with hot glue, but the smaller gravel is simply placed on the lake bottom without any glue. After that, it's time to mix the epoxy resin using a 1:1 crystal clear formula. For every liter of epoxy, I add 6 drops of Vitrea 160 turquoise, a glass paint, plus 2 to 3 drops of lemon yellow. The amount of yellow depends on how green you want the water to look. More yellow gives you a stronger green tint. Unfortunately, for this area, I ended up using 10 liters of epoxy resin, and that became a very important lesson for future projects. You don't need a lake that deep, because you'll spend much more money for no real benefit. A shallower lake gives you the same visual result with far less epoxy. The last step for today is creating the small waves on the surface of the lake and at the point where the waterfalls meet the water. For this, I'm using water waves from Woodland. It's a transparent gel that I apply on top of the epoxy. With a brush, I shape and size the waves however I want. This material takes quite a while to dry, so you'll need to work with it patiently. After a few hours, this is how the water waves look. As a final touch, I'll add a bit of white paint to the edges of the larger waves to highlight them and make them stand out. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. The lake is shimmering, the waterfalls are flowing, and the magic of Christmas is slowly coming together piece by piece. With every step, our miniature world becomes more alive, more festive, and more full of holiday spirit. In the next episode, we'll continue building the enchantment as we create the bridges connecting the island to the rest of the scene and start shaping the landscaping for the entire Luna Park area. It's going to be a fun and beautiful part of the project, so don't miss it. Thank you all so much for watching, for your support, and for sharing this Christmas journey with me. Wishing you a wonderful festive day, and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.